Hello, everybody. This is Ed Robinson, and welcome to another episode of the Deep End Podcast with Ed.
The Deep End. The Deep End. With Ed Robinson. The Deep
End. I'm very grateful and thankful for those who have been going on this journey with us. And as you know, we are in season number 2. And in season number 2, our theme is the growth of greatness, translated ordinary people doing some amazing, extraordinary things. And my guest today is someone who's doing that. I'm going to introduce you to her very shortly. But before I do so, I want to give you your lifeguard tower moment. Remember, that is something that we do for others. So I want you to write this website down, and it will be posted also on the screen. It is www.harperforkids.org. So www.harperforkids, all one word, .org. And so essentially, it is a program, a character education program, where they have basic fundamental things to help our students to succeed across America. Even the legendary coach John Wooden's, his Pyramid of Success is part of this program. So we certainly would urge you to do so. So let's just jump right into it. I am very grateful and thankful to have on our podcast today that's joining me on this ride is Miss Lisa Moe. Lisa is a 4th grade teacher at Butterfield Ranch Elementary School in Chino Hills. Lisa earned her bachelor's degree in cultural anthropology from UCLA. She received a master's in teaching from the University of California, Irvine. Sounds like she's a UC type of student. But she also gave some love to the other state school, and received a master's in educational technology from Cal State Fullerton. So Lisa, thank you very much and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. That was a beautiful, beautiful intro there. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I'm just gonna keep hitting the high notes. Some of you may have said, wait a minute, I've seen that lady before. Recently, Lisa and 3 or 4 of her students were featured on KCBS's TV award-winning Mission Unstoppable program, and that was last weekend at the time of this recording. And so, Lisa, tell us about that experience. What was that like?
Oh my goodness, that was just forever. It can make me emotional just because it was so exciting to be featured. It's a show that highlights women in all aspects of science. And so to represent as an educator of science and, as a female, it's just, to me, to be a positive role model to other little girls and boys, in this area that, you never know what's around the corner for you. And that, coming to me was really just a blessing, was truly just an amazing experience.
Well, kudos to you and your students, and because you did an amazing job, and we're going to come back to some of the activity things you're doing. But let's go back a little bit. So tell us a little bit about your family. Tell us about your family life, whatever you like to share.
Oh, yeah. My family is just amazing. They are the wind beneath my wings. And I don't say those words lightly, because they truly, every aspect of who I am goes back to my family. I have an incredible mother and father, amazing older brother and sister, and without them, I don't know who or where I would be. They are my biggest, sources of support and love. And, we've dealt with real life together. Obviously, we've gone through grief, and we've gone through, highs and lows, and we still always remember at the end of the day, we have each other. And so I know that who I am today and who I will continue to grow to be is always impacted back to who they are and how they shape me. And I'm the shock baby. They call me the shock. I was the surprise. I was the surprise.
Oh, okay.
So they always let me know. I was born 6 months to the day after my grandmother passed away. So my mother's mother. And I have grown up knowing that I resemble her. I have her personality. I have her hands, her nails. And I'm always reminded that I was a gift from her. So I don't feel like, even though I didn't physically meet her, I always feel like she's a part of me and has been my guide through my life. So.
Oh, well, thank God for your family. It's beautiful that you can keep grandma's legacy alive through your life. So you're an amazing teacher. I know that also you were recently recognized as the 2021, I believe, IACU Blended and Online Educator of the Year. So you're doing some amazing things. So who inspired you to become a teacher?
So he knows it, and I'm sure at some point he's going to be like, okay, thank you. But Mr. Richmond, Randy Richmond, he was my 5th grade teacher in Corona Norco Unified. And I don't think there's a time that I don't go back to him and tell him he's why I'm here. He was the first person other than my family to really tell me that I could be who I wanted to be and, go after what I wanted. And, unfortunately, I did have teachers, which we'll definitely talk more about, that kind of took my self-confidence away in different areas. But I always went back to my mind of how he was and how he, so at the end of the day, who I wanted to be or what I wanted to be the most was like him. I want to impact a child the way that he impacted me.
So what was it about Mr. Richmond that had this indelible impact on you, Lisa?
Mr. Richmond was a very strict teacher. And I will be honest, and he knows this, he terrified me at the beginning just because I had never had a male teacher before. And he knew what was expected. Those expectations were high, but he respected us. And I think that lesson of you give respect, you get respect. Again, just coming from a family, we're very, we respect everyone. And so to have someone, I think somewhere I knew I was going to be a teacher because I don't know what 10-year-old is interested in a classroom management, but I loved how he ran his class. I think that, was kind of the beginning of me figuring out, but he was the type of teacher that would show up at our extracurriculars. I was a swimmer, and he would come to my swim meets, and he was at my high school graduation. He came to my college graduation party. He's someone that truly shows up. He wasn't just a one-time teacher. He's my lifelong teacher and mentor. So I think that was just that difference in someone, is just someone that was always encouraging us. And the strict part, the scared part went away quickly. That was just, I think I always laugh at that because I was like, I remember when I was terrified of him. I think it was just the new experience of a male teacher.
And snaps for Mr. Richmond. Mr. Richmond still teaching?
He's still teaching,
Okay. And then give him a shout out. Where does he teach? He's
at Todd Academy in Corona Norco. He's still teaching 5th grade. And at some point I want him to come, he wants to come Zoom in and meet my students, because every year my students know Mr. Richmond because I tell them all about him. So he's still, I always say he's still very present in my classroom. He's still everyone's teacher. So.
Wow. Well, as a swimmer and as a participant on this podcast called Deep In with Ed, I just want to kind of jump off the diving board and give a shout out again to Mr. Richmond, to you, and to all of the unsung heroes and sheroes known as teachers. I mean, you all mold and shape. I mean, I've been out of high school 100 years ago, and I can still remember, in this case, and even elementary school, of teachers who influenced and made an impact in my life. So, Mr. Richmond, again, a salute to you. All right, so let's talk a little bit about some of your hobbies and your passions. What are you passionate about, Lisa?
I'm passionate about learning, and I don't mean that just as an educator. I truly am a lifelong learner. So I'm the type of person that if I'm watching a movie or TV or listening to a song, I'm also looking up the trivia behind it and learning all of that. I just love learning, and I love sharing in my learning. So with swimming, for instance, swimming has been a passion of mine since I was 5 years old. And I feel like that has also been a big influence into who I am as an educator. That there's always been my time in the pool, and there's nothing like it. If I'm having a rough day, a good day, a bad day, it's me in that water. And when I was 15, I started teaching swim lessons. And that kind of, again, led me into this path of being a teacher, because I realized how much I loved making that connection with a student, whether I was teaching an 80-year-old in water physical therapy or a 6-month-old baby, first experience in the water. There's nothing like that connection of one-on-one and seeing someone overcome an obstacle or a fear or work one-on-one with them in their goals. And I think, again, it goes back forever. My passion is learning and swimming. those two come together. And so.
Well, Lisa, I'm assuming, did you swim in high school and college?
I did. I swam all the way through high school, and then I swam. I went to Riverside Community College first, and I swam there. And I thought I was actually done swimming in high school, but I couldn't stay away from the water. And then when I got to UCLA, I joined their club team, but then I actually started working for their recreational department, and I ran the pool. So I helped do all the different classes there, whether it was teaching, coaching, or, like I said, water physical therapy. So I've always been adding on certifications in that as well.
So it seems like teaching is just ingrained in you. Do you have teachers in your family?
I have relatives and everything, but I'm the first, in my immediate family. My grandfather, he passed before I was born. He was actually a principal as well. And so he was a teacher and then principal, but he taught high school. For me, it's in me. It was just meant to be for me.
Now, Lisa, as I mentioned at the onset, the theme for this episode of this season is the growth of greatness. Again, ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And so I know one of the things that you have strategies for building confidence through STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. Tell us a little bit about those.
So I might get a little emotional here. So okay. As I mentioned, I had Mr. Richmond, but I also had another teacher another year. I'll not say grade level, but it was pretty quickly after. And that confidence was taken from me. I was told I wasn't good at math. I didn't have a math brain. Science wasn't for girls. I heard it all. And when you're that little, or young, I should say, it sticks with you. And unfortunately, negative, for some reason, always sticks with us in human nature. And again, I had an amazing family. I had, amazing past teachers. I had amazing friends, everyone to build me up. But somewhere I put that wall in my head that I'm not good at this, because I was told I wasn't good at this. And as I grew and I continued going through school, I met other teachers, again, good, not so good, but I still had this wall. And my mom would always tell me, Lisa, you're in calculus, you're doing it, but but I'm not good at it. What makes you not good at it? You're doing it. I'm not good. I don't have a math brain. But she'd always say, wake up that math brain. And as I got to college, and I, am really pushing myself, because that's who I am. With the last name Moe, we always say we're motivational, we're motivated, we're ready to go. Actually, he owns a gym. He's a personal trainer, and it's Team Motivate. We're a very positive, motivated family. And part of all that journey, you start to realize, hold on, I am good at this. And, maybe I'm not good at the level that, whatever your expectation or your standard, I love learning this. I love, maybe I'm not the fastest with math, but I'll get the job done, and I'll enjoy every step I take doing it, and I'll grow from it. Or maybe, with science or whatever. So as I entered teaching, I realized the good of Mr. Richmond and the not so good. And I will say, I am very grateful for the not so good teachers, because they did teach me. They taught me exactly who I didn't want to be for children. And I wanted to motivate my kids. And I came in with the mindset and the motto with my kids that we say every single day: yes, you can. Yes, I can. Yes, we can. And with that thought, I I love tech and I love science and STEM and learning all of this. And so as you read off my, resume of colleges, I just keep going back to learn and apply because I always tell my students, whatever Miss Moe learns, you're going to learn too. So when I got my second master's, I said, that's their master's too. And at my graduation, they were all there with me because that was their master's too. They earned it with me. And by finding this outlet of confidence and building them and letting them take down those labels that maybe their previous teachers gave them. You're not a math brain, you're not science brain, you're not a good reader, you're not this, you're not that. Letting them start to believe in themselves by being innovators, by creating, by taking leadership in their learning, having choice in the classroom. It's not just Miss Moe lecturing you of here's what you need to know. What do you want to know and how can I help you get there? That's my mindset with them. And so I also, like you mentioned, I have Harper for Kids. So I have my Coach Wooden Pyramid of Success. I have another huge one in my classroom. Both ends of my classroom have big yes you can posters. I keep up, I'm going to try and turn my screen here. I have my cap and gowns from my colleges so my students can see. And I always keep a picture of me right up there of me in fourth grade because I always say I had to start somewhere. Miss Moe didn't just appear. I was once just like you and I worked and I got here and you can too. And you'll also see Rocky Balboa because I always say he's the underdog. You get knocked down, you get back up again. And just keeping that motivation and power in my classroom, I love to see it. They make me laugh year after year because by the end of the year, they're these little motivational speakers almost. They'll just, you could do it. You believe in yourself. And so just creating that positive culture in here, you find the students that on the first day of school that may have said to me, I don't really like math. I'm not a good reader. And by the end of the year, they'll just tell you, I'm a scholar. Like they know who they are. And they know that their road is going to be different than their best friend's road. They know that their pace in math is going to be different than their, sister's pace in math. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's your journey. Just get there how you want to get there. And that's my goal with them. So
you're making me want to go back to school and be students. Let's go back to your motto, your mantra. Yes, I can, or si se puede in Spanish.
Yes.
Speak to that young person or that person in general, especially girls who are being told you don't have a math brain or you'll never be able to excel in the STEM, science, technology, engineering, math. So speak to them.
Again, yes, you can. You have to be your own self-advocate. And again, not to keep, going back to Rocky, but you will get knocked down. You will get told no and doors shut in your face. And I mean, I'm not saying that I've broke the code yet. Like I'm still in this fight. I'm still in this journey of, yes, I can. Yes, I can. Give me a shot. Give me this opportunity. Let me show you. And I think for all our young girls and boys, it's so important that we all understand, again, there are going to be doors slammed in our faces. There's going to be moments of teachers and adults and jobs, and you're not always going to get what you want. So you got to take that power and, again, be an innovator, be a self-starter, create. If they're not going to give it to you, you're going to give it to you. So believe in yourself and work for it. Keep going, keep learning.
Well stated. Let's go back to that time, and I like you're very shrewd. You're not mentioning the name of that other juxtaposition of the teacher who told you didn't have the math brain. But let's go back to that time and era. How would you describe yourself as a student, and then how did the growth and the magic happen?
I've always been a good student in the sense of I did what was asked of me. I got home, I started my homework. I wouldn't dare even try to pretend like I didn't have homework. I always got it done. In class, very attentive. But when it came to something like math, like I said, if I didn't know the answer right away in that environment, it was, then you must not be good at it. And I'd be working on the problem and I would almost be there. And I remember this was a pivotal moment. My teacher said, "Oh, she did it again. She can't do it. Let's go call on one of our geniuses," and called on another student. Now, in that moment, that moment could have just been, they may not remember it, that teacher, that they just spoke, but it left an impact. It left a huge impact on me. Now, that didn't discourage me in the sense of, well, what's the point? No, I'm going to keep working hard. But like I said, it left that impact where I had this mental block on me that I'm not good. And because I'm not fast at this, or, it takes me a little time, or I'm working out a problem, I just must not be good enough to do it. And the growth, I'd say, again, I'm going to give him a shout out. Dr. Jeremy Goins in Corona as well. He used to teach at Centennial High School, and now he's an administrator. He's incredible. Another teacher that kind of just took me, and was like, "You're Lisa Moe. Like, you've got this, girl." And that, to me, I think, again, was another changing point. It was like, yeah. And like I said, I have an amazing family, but we all know, like, our family could tell us over and over, "You're amazing. What are you talking about?" And for some reason, we don't take that as heavily as another outside influence. And so when you hear it from someone you look up to, like Dr. Goins, it's like, "Oh yeah, what am I doing?" Like, yeah, I got this. So it's just, it takes one person to just kind of wake you up.
Thank God again for Dr. Goins, who's came at a critical time. And it sounds to me, Lisa, that instead of being demotivated by the naysayer or the lowering of the bar of the other teacher, or if you can say even hating on you, so to speak, it sounds like you used it as motivation.
100%. It, like I said, I've gone through grief. I've gone through the loss of loved ones, and you go through different things in life, and it can make or break you. And having a strong, supportive family, having that inner, self-motivation, you have to take that and send it out in a good way. I'm just a firm believer, if you're met with negative or met with bad in any way, you don't contribute to it. You take it in a different route, and you give back in a different way, and you meet with kindness, and you meet with positivity. And so definitely taking in that throughout the years, it was my driving force. It was my, and like I said, I may not have been the fastest at math, but watch me in the pool. Like, that was, or watch me read, or what, like, I've got my strengths, and I could do it anything, just give me that opportunity. So you take your strengths and you keep going.
It's amazing that you use the word opportunity. I have this rock, I don't have it with me, but I call it an opportunity rock. On one side, Lisa, it says problem. If you flip it over, it says solution. So usually when I'm confronted with a challenge, I just look at okay, Ed, is it a problem that's going to defeat you? Or are we going to go over it or around it and look at it, flip it? Let's find an answer, a solution. And it sounds like that's exactly what you did. So,
I love that.
So Lisa, you, as I said earlier, you were the 2021, I don't know what IACUE Blended Online Educator of the Year. Tell us about that process.
So it's the Inland Area CUE is what so it's CUE, which stands for Computer Using Educators. And I, the last several years, understatement, has been insane for everybody. And education was, I think, the day that our school shut down, it was March 13th of 2020. And I remember everyone kind of looking around saying, what are we going to do? And again, going back to what we've been discussing, I thought, I know what I'm going to do. Like we're not going to stop. We're going to shift gears. And thankfully, having just received my degree in educational technology, my master's from, Cal State Fullerton Ed Tech, shout out. It's so funny because going into that program, I already had my master's in teaching. I'm going back to school, and I was questioned so much of, but why? Why technology? What are you going to do with that? And something in me kept saying, and I would answer this, I just feel that's the way of our future. Like I just kept saying that, like when it comes to school, and thank goodness, because I had that confidence in me. I already had this passion within technology and learning and bringing it into the classroom. But now I have this, the last several years of researching and working and applying. And so the minute we shut down, I held Zoom sessions to teach teachers around the world how to use Zoom because it was a new concept for teachers. And it was March 15th, I was holding this, I came in on, Instagram Live. If you want to learn how to do this, jump on with me. If you want to, I'm going all over social media to help where I could. At the same time, my students, like I said, it was their degree too. And they have this motivation in them of, yes, I can, and to be kind and to be innovators. They said, what if we made tutorials to help the other students and parents and teachers learn how to use these ed tech tools? Yes, let's do it. And so sure enough, I would just have to say, to this student, I want you, and we're just on Zoom at home. I want you to do this, make one about how to access email. I want you to show how to get onto Google Classroom. So they made them, and they're incredible. And again, just giving them that confidence and that platform to be creative and show them these tech tools. They learned how to take it and apply it and help beyond the four walls of the classroom. So then we switch into full distance learning. And I switched schools. I transferred into a different school within our district, which is Butterfield. I'm coming in new at this school. I don't really know anyone, and I have to meet my students online. So I know my past school, those students, they knew me. They knew what what they're going to get from me. These students, they had no idea. So I'll never forget the first day. I'm teaching from my bedroom because that's the world we were in. And I just remember the sad faces and many of them telling me, I just want to be back at school. And I might not stay on distance learning. I might just be homeschooled. And I had so much, or I might be pulled and go, out of state. And I knew a lot of the parents were in the rooms with them. And I just said to them, I promise you, if you trust me, this will be a year unlike any other year because it already is. But we're going to get through it and we're going to have a lot of fun on the way. And by that Friday, I had parents already reaching out to me like, all I hear is my child laughing and they're loving it and they can't wait to get on. I will tell you, there was one day we were surrounded by hills. There was a fire and we're all at home, but most of my students live within the neighborhood. So they're online with me and they're like, Miss Moe, I have to go. The hills are on fire. I have to leave now. I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, please don't just sign off. It's okay. And they're jumping back on as they're at their grandma's house or a hotel. It's like, what child? They didn't want to miss school. They wanted to be there. And to me, that always is so, precious to my heart because they want to be where they feel accepted and they feel safe to be themselves. And that's my goal as their teacher, is to, whether we're in a classroom or online or, wherever in the world, they know that when they're with me, they get to be exactly themselves. They get to be who they want. They could be silly. So we started doing fun Fridays where we would dress up every single Friday. They'd come up with a theme, and I am known with my costumes and coming up with crazy ideas and dressing up, whatever. But it was all that because we were in a not normal time. So why stick to the old routines of school, let's make this a year to remember. Let's innovate and create something, because clearly what was working worked, but now we're at home. So show me your dogs and cats. Show me your kitchen. Show me, you want to eat a snack, you're at home, go for it. Let's just keep learning together. And so receiving that award to me was just so, it was such an honor, because to me, it's what I felt we should all have been doing, giving each other grace, being patient with each other, being patient with technology. It's not always going to work, and we can get frustrated, and especially if you're not very, well versed with tech, or, just giving yourself grace and remembering, if you don't understand it, these babies, this is new to them too. So let's just find laughter. Let's laugh together. Let's be silly together. Let's learn in our own environments. And that's what we did.
Kudos to you, Lisa. So when you received this award as Educator of the Year, what were your reaction? Did someone, I'm assuming it was a nomination process, and all of a sudden, how were you notified? How did it go?
Yeah, it was a few colleagues, a parent. I had no idea. I'll never forget, I actually had to come to my school. I was teaching from home, so I had to come to my school to turn in some papers, and my mom was going to go with me. That was our fun. And, quarantine is every once in a while to get in the car and drive just because. And I received this email, and I open it, and it says, like, congratulations, you won, IAQ's, bold blended and online learning, of the year, teacher of the year. And my reaction was instant, oh my gosh. I was like, what? She's thinking the words, and look in, we both are shaking. And like, I just remember we're in my driveway. So she's like, just kind of stops the car. We get out, I call out to my dad, and all of us are just, what? What? And my parents are so precious and amazing, because they're like, well, of course, like, to them, it's like, yeah, but really? So, and then I had, my principal has since, she no longer, she left, she moved, but my assistant principal is now my principal. So getting to the school that day, they both were here, and again, just met with such amazing support of just like, oh, I could have told you that, like, just like, where I was like, oh my gosh, like to me, that's the award of just hearing the love, like that love of and support of others. That to me is just so warm to my heart. So
it's like everyone saw it except for Lisa, huh?
Oh, yeah. So,
now, Lisa, we're going to talk about your students in a little bit, but I know that you're connected with this, I forgot what it's called, Info Systems Foundation USA Pathfinders or so. What?
Yes. So Infosys Pathfinders, it's a great organization to help educators, help families, help students, and it's all free resources. You could go on, and they have so many different just ideas and tools and of bringing in computer science into the classroom, but you could find some in social studies, or how to use it for the social emotional well-being, which I'm big on. I'm all about the whole child, because they're not going to learn if they don't feel loved. So again, just connecting in that way. And I came across them over the summer. I have an amazing mentor that kind of encouraged me. She knows how much I love to learn. Her name's Sanal Patel. And she said to me, you would be great for this. You love taking these classes. You should go for it. So I did. And again, it was a commitment. It's my summer break, my first break in 2 years. And I was like, okay, I'll be a student again. And I loved it. And I continue to use these resources, but they offer classes as well, and their institute. And because of them, I have to say, it's because of them why I was even given the opportunity with Mission Unstoppable, with the TV show. They kind of gave my name to that show of here's someone that you should look at. So I'm very grateful to them. So.
Now, speaking of the Mission Unstoppable television show that you were featured on recently, you had a couple of students, 3 or 4, kind of Give us a little brief background about those students.
So as much as I would have loved to have all my students, I will say my district did not allow us to film on campus. So I had to pick 3 students. And these 3 students, again, when I tell you who they were at the beginning, when I first met them over a year ago, I had one student that was, unsure if they wanted to stay in distance learning. I had another student whose mom had worked at the school and she was going to be working at a new school. So again, not comfortable yet. And the other student came in new mid-year with me. So again, it was just that trust with them and kind of learning who they are and getting them to just grow with me. And I could say with those 3, I connected with them as I did with all my students on like a personal level, because it was such a vulnerable year for everybody. Like I said, I had my own dogs barking in the background and and just kind of seeing how we were beyond the classroom. And I had Cassidy, who is just a riot. That girl is so hilarious, so full of energy. I call her my sidekick because if I need her for something, she'll match my energy with like our characters. We could stay in a different character. We come up with them on the spot and we'll talk in accents and have, a whole background story as if we planned it out. And she's just so intelligent and creative and hilarious. And it's just a different brilliance, within her. And her first day, she told me, when I'm older, I'm going to be a stand-up comedian and an NBA star, but you may see me building rockets or something. Like, that's how confident I was like, yes, yes, I love this. And then we have Fiona, who again is a total just rock star, very respectful, very, you would think because her demeanor is she may be shy, but she's not. And she reminds me of myself because in school, I remember that same teacher that kind of was like, oh, you're not good at math, also had made a comment that I was shy when I was in 6th grade. And I'll never forget, I said to him, I'm not shy, I'm respectful. And that's like that to me, because I am full of energy, but there's a time and place. And I was a respectful student. And so I see that in Fiona because in class, she's very focused. But again, she plays violin and piano and guitar, and she's a swimmer and she does this and that. And yet she still has this innovative artistry that she wants to create and build and code and learn and wants to be a doctor or a scientist. And she even has like a lab coat that I love because she'll just wear it like address her now. She's a doctor. Like that's who she is. She'll dress the part.
Her name Fiona or Fiona?
Fiona.
Yeah, okay. Uh-huh.
And then we have Chris, who again, Chris is just one of those students that when you see him, you can't help but just melt because he is just so full of love and kindness and always looking out for others, including me. And we connected because it's one of my favorite things. One of our first weeks of school, we're kind of sharing our interests, and he shyly shared online with the kids like, oh, he really likes Pee Wee Herman. And you could see he was really nervous to kind of say that. And some of the kids are like, who's that? And others are like, that's weird. And like, kind of just like, what? And I said, Chris, guess who else loves Pee Wee Herman? And we found out that we were at the same event right before everything shut down, where we got to go and see Pee Wee, Paul Rubens. And I love that. So that afternoon, he said, yeah, I dressed up as Pee Wee when I went to that event. I said, me too. So we dressed up together and we kind of showed the class like, this is us. And after that, the rest of them became Pee Wee fans, which I love because he went from being nervous to say it. And with his mom's permission, I shared that on Instagram just because I wanted to show other teachers, like, get to know your students, connect to them and their interests. You never know. It doesn't always have to be academic. find your, that common ground. And that's just human. Find what you have in common, because it's really hard to not like someone when you know their story. Sorry, and you get to connect with them. And Pee Wee Paul Rubens actually wrote us back. And that was like a pivotal moment. What? And he's like, I love this. Your student's awesome. And it was just one of those like, oh my gosh. So to take these three who came in individually, their own individual personalities and goals and everything, and just see them blossom over this year, and to say to them, they already are doing this coding with me, and they come and they ask me questions all the time. They're in 5th grade now, and we're always learning and growing. We spend many lunch times together doing this. So when this opportunity came up, it's like, this is an opportunity for them to really show the world what I see in them. And that's that they shine. They're amazing. They're incredible. So
thank you very much for sharing and highlighting Cassidy and Fiona and Chris. And when you were talking about Fiona wearing her doctor's coat already, I have a daughter who is a medical doctor. And I say this to all of your students, when she was younger, we had her in a program called a Saturday Science Program. And they would give them these lab coats. And so my daughter, when she received her full when she graduated from medical school, we took her back to that little jacket that she used to wear. So in other words, what I'm saying, you're doing the right thing to encourage your students to dress, to think, to perceive, visualize the role that they'll be tomorrow. So thank you. Kudos.
Love that. Oh, that like touches my heart. I love that so much.
Now, based on talking about the projects, you alluded to coding and the microchips and all the things. Any of the projects that you can share with us that you've been teaching?
So I didn't want to touch too many of the students just because they're in the process of making, but I'd love to share. So just what a microbit is, it's like a mini computer basically, and there's 25 LED lights, and the kids learn how to code to make these lights do what they want them to do. And they could record their voice on it. I've had a student that made like a step tracker, almost like so they could see how many steps they've made in a day. I've had students like Cassidy, who made something. She was thinking outside the box of students with anxiety and thinking of what's happening right now in the world, and being in classrooms and being in masks and just, everything that's kind of changed over the last 2 years. So she got like a little, they call them poppets, and they're just little anxiety toys, but she had coded on her microbit for it to send like positive messages and smiley faces and things that when they need that reminder, they press it and it will tell them something like, you're awesome, or, keep being amazing. And I loved that. I love, because one of my guidelines whenever we're in this learning, I always tell them, again, step 1 is to have a yes, I can mindset and to be kind. And step 2 is let's think about what we could do for others. So as you're creating, of course, I want you to feel passionate about it, and I want you to enjoy it too. But how can we make it so others can see and feel that same, joy that it's bringing to you? And those are really my 2 guidelines. And then it's always, have fun with this, and I'm going to help you along the way as you figure this out. And so really giving them those projects. I like to do like a Shark Tank style in my classroom. So they learn how to pitch their ideas. They learn how to, just all these different ways of real life skills, of how to stand up and defend what their idea is, and get us all to, want this, to see it through. And from there, they just start creating. And it's really, I think sometimes in teaching, we like to hold the reins as teachers of like, no, you've got to do it this way. You have to do it, my way, and follow this rubric. And I feel like we lose sometimes something greater in our students when it's like, you have to do it my way or no way. And so you have to really let go of it, still be there to guide them and keep them on track and task, but let them have choice. Let them be leaders in their learning and feel that ownership, because they're proud of their work, and you want them to think again beyond the four walls of the classroom. There's a whole world out there waiting for them. It's not just here in fourth grade. So create for the great, so that's really always my lesson with STEM and learning is always do something for others.
I love that. I love that. It's when you were talking about it, I was mindful of a Brazilian proverb that says when you dream alone, it's just a dream, but when you dream together, it is the beginning of a new reality. So it sounds like you're pushing them out to think outside the box, and as you said, to do something for others. And I think that's very critical, especially teaching young people that. So I congratulate you and salute you on that, Lisa.
Thank you so much.
Speaking of motivation, how do you stay motivated to do what you do? Because I get the sense that you have a lot of energy. How do you stay motivated?
Just a little sense. Yeah, the kids make it easy. Like I've been doing this now. I've been a classroom teacher with a credential for, I'll be going on 7 years. But I've been working within schools since I was 15. So as soon as I was old enough to get a job, I started working for the city parks and rec. And like I said, lifeguarding, I ran the after school programs. And at the end of the day, yes, teaching fourth grade, this is my 5th year in fourth grade. It could be repetitive. And I've often heard that of like, yeah, you're teaching the same thing, but you're teaching it to new learners every year. And you can't stick to whatever worked last year may not work this year. And so it's always being creative and thinking on your feet. And I still get giddy every morning when I have to get up for work because I get to come see them and I get to, just have this time with them. And there's so much laughter on the horizon and fun and light bulbs going off. And so it's easy to stay motivated because nothing is ever going to go the way you planned it. I could sit down and lesson plan, and I promise you, it's not going to go the way I wanted to. So again, loosening the reins and just enjoying the ride with them. And it keeps me going because they're fun. They're so great. I love every year. I just love my students.
That's amazing, Lisa. I wish we could just replicate you across the world with your personality and your energy to other educators.
Thank you.
So, Lisa, as we get ready to land the plane, so to speak, I want to do a little bit of lightning round that I like to do with my guests. Are you up for that?
I'm up for it. Yes, I can.
Let's see, sports or teaching?
Oh, geez. Okay, teaching. I got it say teaching.
Okay, Instagram or TikTok?
Okay, I'll say Instagram.
Okay. Middle school or elementary school?
Elementary.
All right, here's a tough one for you. Science or math?
Ooh. I'm going to give it to science.
And lastly, do you enjoy just watching things happen or creating things?
Creating.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us. And for those that are listening or those that may be watching this via Spotify, Spotify does have a video component that we're on as well as YouTube. How can individuals remain in contact if they want to reach out to you?
So on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, you will find, and Facebook, you will find me at Miss Moe Teaches. So it's MISSMOE Teaches. And that's my handle across all social media. And
Okay.
I always say, don't be an internet wallflower, reach out, and I'm happy to help you in any way.
Wow, well, thank you very much, Lisa. And I do trust and hope that our listening and viewing audience will reach out to you at Miss Moe Teaches, and we'll put that up on the visuals also. So again, we want to thank Lisa Moe again, who was the 2021 IACU Blended and Online Educator of the Year. She teaches at 4th grade students over at Butterfield Ranch Elementary School in Chino Hills. We're very grateful, and we ask that you would just share this podcast with someone else You may have children, especially daughters, who are in a situation and they've been told that they don't have a math brain or they're not smart enough for science or whoever it may be. Push this out to your particular social media contacts. And we're very grateful. And now I have a coachable moment for you. That is something that you do for yourself. Your coachable moment is to take one of the things that Lisa Moe shared with us on this podcast and apply it to your life, apply it to your situation, overcoming obstacles, or when someone perhaps telling you you can't do anything. I want you to take one of her things that you've learned and then apply it to yourself. So again, you can follow us on social media. You can also reach out to us on YouTube and any other platforms that we have. The Deep End with Ed. And so I'm very grateful for those of you who, again, who's been rolling with us for a minute. The Deep End with Ed podcast is a Beyond the Mask Conversations production. So until we meet again, we'll see you on the next episode. Have a wonderful week.